Local market insight, global market intel with expert opinion. This is the cocktail of factors of success that we deliver to you here in Bisnomics. I'm Tharandu Amarasekara, and today our focus will be on the vital topic of mobility. Even in Sri Lanka, we know how crazy the traffic can get. What are the alternatives? How far has electric mobility developed in Sri Lanka and worldwide? To talk about this and more, we have today's special guest, who is none other than the founder of Rodha, and that is Eyaz Fazul. Eyaz, welcome to Bisnomics. Absolute pleasure to have you.
I'm humbled and it's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, now let's get to the point. What are the key mobility challenges that we are facing as a nation? Because traffic is pretty bad, but that's only the start of things. The cost of mobility is rising. We see that the cost of fuel is going up. Cost of fossil fuel overall is going up anyway worldwide. So what are the real mobility challenges that we are facing as a nation?
When you talk about mobility, the fundamental factor you're thinking about is urban mobility, right? But because right now what we're talking is to people to get around.
Yes.
How would that help the society at large? So when you say mobility challenges, what we need to figure out, is there an effective way to make sure that people can move from point A to point B simply and inclusively? That's it, right? Right now, if I was to, for example, go to Colombo right now in rush hour traffic, it will take me about 1.5 hours.
For sure.
It shouldn't take me 1.5 hours. It should take me 30 minutes, right? Because it's about 10 kilometers from here. But because of wider roads, because of the roads and the cars and all the buses and the trucks and all that, we are not going to go in time. Now the solution, many countries thought the solution was we build bigger roads, right? And we go have like a bigger roads and we have a more infrastructure dumped into this one. Roads were looked as asset of a nation, right? So people invested in roads. In countries like ours, which is a very old country, cities like ours, which is very old cities, we can't do such this one. That's one limitation. But even if you invest, right? You look at, for example, LA. Elon Musk wants to build. LA basically has 12-lane freeways, huge roads. The whole city was designed for cars and buses and all that stuff. And Elon Musk still wants to build a tunnel underground to make mobility easier. So the challenges that we are facing is evident. To get from point A to point B, it's almost impossible. Now, how do we do it? On top of the physical challenges, we have the sustainable challenges. Sustainable for us as a health and sustainable for the planet, right? Let's talk about the planet. We know burning fossil fuel is not the idea it's not sustainable for the future. Correct. If we keep burning like this, we are going to end up in Mad Max type situation where everything will be desert.
And yes, already we see that the CO2 emission levels are back at the pre-pandemic levels now.
Absolutely. And what we've seen is actually there's been an increase of production because the production is increasing, transport is increasing to catch up to what we missed out.
Correct.
Now we are emitting even more. Right, so our CO2 levels are not going to go down, right? And and we keep burning fossil fuels, and this is not sustainable. We can't keep doing this. So that is one aspect. Now the other aspect is commuting. Now we all passively commute, meaning we are sitting behind a motor and going. There is plenty of research that shows that passive commuting is directly affecting our mental health. We know, all of us, like adults, when you look at it around, we have all these morbid issues, right? Obesity, all these fundamental lies because we are always sitting down, right? We are not moving our body. We don't have time. I don't have time to go to the gym, even though I want to, right? So now how do we solve all this? Now I'm going to plug in Rodha here and say, this Rodha is the silver bullet for these issues. We will get into the issues deeper this one.
In other words, electric cycling.
Electric cycling. Cycling but assisted cycling is, we believe, the solution for the mobility challenge for all these. From a health perspective, from a sustainable perspective, from a movement perspective, so for the convenience of it, no license, no registration, quick get around, right? So these are the challenges that we look to solve. When I got into this field, this is what we wanted to solve. But this is evident. It's slowly getting into it. But we hoped that we will be one of the people who would push towards an electric mobility future.
Yes, now, if you look at some of the European countries, when we see countries like the Netherlands, cycling is quite an accepted mode of transport. Even some of the main cities like Amsterdam, or for example, Vienna in Austria, or even cities like Munich in Germany, we see people getting about in bicycles. It's an accepted, common, normal way of transport. But we don't see that being taken up quite so well in Sri Lanka in the urban areas. In the villages, we still see that. But in the urban areas, we don't really see that as much of a daily transport option. Why is that?
There's two things to this. First thing is, we are a humid country, right? If especially Colombo, especially Western Province, especially certain town centres, it's very humid.
The more we pedal, the more we sweat.
Yeah, the more we pedal, not the pedaling is not the issue. Basically, that initial momentum, getting that stop and go traffic. Every time you stop, you have to start pedaling harder. This is not easy for us, and then we will start sweating, and we will start, stinking. Now everything is AC rooms. If you come in like sweating and this one, you're going to be looked at downly. And this is what happened in the 70s and the 80s. I spoke to Dr. Amal Kumarage about this. He is head of logistics and transport at University of Moratuwa. So we had a nice discussion about this, and he said cycling has been pushed towards a poor man's transport. Why? Because of these issues. Because when you're riding, right, even though it's good for your health, you're sweating, right? And the smell of sweat is no longer considered, is a social taboo now, right? So from the 17 onwards, we basically get rid of this one. But if you look at places like Jaffna, right, high penetration in bicycle. Why? Because it's dry zone. That's a dry zone, and the roads are flat. In Colombo, for example, let's take Navala to Rajagiriya. That road, it's like a valley and hills and valleys, right? You're going to cycle on that, it's going to be really, really hard. So these are the challenges that we faced from that aspect. There's another aspect to this. You said Netherlands and France and whatnot. Now, they don't have a humid problem, right? The environment is cool.
Yeah.
That's first thing. But the thing is, we all seem to forget, Netherlands did not become a cycling nation because the government said so. The Netherlands policy was implemented because in the 1920s, when cars started to come in, automobiles started to become the norm, when people started to be pushed towards the pavements from the whole road, now they are moved to only a sidewalk, 6 feet sidewalk. People protested. People died. If you research as to 1920s, the automobile cycling problem, people died fighting for the right to cycle and walk on the roads. And because of that, obviously, government policy, because they won these votes, they will basically push towards a cycling future. Now, you're talking about Germany, France. These are all very new developments in cycling, right? Cycling during COVID has boomed a lot. France, for example, boomed, right? So, these are all nations these are not because of the government decided so. Yeah. This is because the people decided so. Understood. So, what I believe is cycling won't work in Sri Lanka. Electric assisted cycling will work in Sri Lanka.
All right.
Because it makes it easier to pedal.
I love the enthusiasm and the passion you have, and yes, more than anything, you are very well researched on this topic, which is fantastic to see a young entrepreneur being so well versed on this. It's encouraging signs. I have another twist. I think there's another angle to this problem, and correct me if I'm wrong. Vehicle as a status symbol. You ask most of the young professionals, the dream is to get a car. Get a job, get a girl, get a car. Or get a job, get a car, get a girl. Whatever that comes first. Is this another problem? Because today, if a young professional, and I believe this especially applies to a male, by the mid-20s, if he, or even she for that matter, if they are not having their own vehicle, it seems to be sometimes that, okay, maybe they are not doing that well. If somebody says, oh, I still travel by public transport, they'll be like, still? I mean, yes, public transport is not in the best of conditions in Sri Lanka when you compare with some of the other neighboring regions, for example, Singapore and all that. But isn't this also a problem, that people are waiting to get a car because it's a status symbol, and this has created so many other issues related to that. What are your thoughts on that here?
I absolutely agree. We are a country that rides around in luxury SUVs, even though the fuel mileage is very, very low, like 3 liters per kilometer. We are a country that buys a small compact vehicle for the price of a luxury sedan in Germany, right? So these So we are proud of what we are. We're a proud nation. We're a proud race of people, right? So we can't say that, you know what, no, you can't, you have to get away from and you have to change your mentality. No, we can't. We are a proud nation. We're going to be the way we are. So how do we solve this? And the status issue, like you said, I completely agree. When growing up, when I didn't own a car, I felt like I am not doing enough. I am not doing well, right? This has a lot of other effects also, right? Like you said, it's job, car, and then girl, right? Because then only, everyone, it's a common knowledge.
You need a car that gets the eyes rolling and the head turning.
Exactly, right? So then that is the status quo, and we can't change that. Now, but the idea is, and that's what when we design something for Sri Lanka, we have to be very mindful of that. It needs to look good. It needs to capture the attention, because our for example, again, same. I'm going to plug in Rodha here. Rodha is basically convenient, sustainable, economical. But the last fundamental principle is fashion statement. It needs to be a fashion statement.
Kind of like the Tesla, because there were electric vehicles before, but Tesla was the first one that looked good.
Exactly. It has the wow factor. And exactly like that, when you ride the bicycle, when you ride something, you have to look good. You have to feel good. So absolutely, I agree with this. There is a status thing. So how do we make that? It's a simple fix. We basically don't sell cheap, small, tired, ugly vehicles, right? We sell big wheels. No, maybe they may not be efficient, but we sell them 4-inch wheels. This is what we have. 4-inch wheels on both sides, right? It's big, it's bulky, it feels like a cruiser.
Gives a Harley effect.
Harley effect, leather trim. Now, when I came here right now, I wish I can show it to you. It's a completely leather, tan leather,
Understood.
white and it's completely leather.
So let me correct this here. So let me question this. So what you're saying is that, yes, we are also dealing with the fact that vehicle is seen as a status problem, and to match that, whatever electric mobility solution you're giving, it has to be well designed to match that perception as well.
Exactly.
Yes, very interesting insights. We are going to come back to you on more details on this. Stay tuned. We will be back after this short break. This is Bisnomics. Welcome back to Bisnomics, your weekend's most profitable 60 minutes. We are in conversation with Eyaz Fazul regarding the electric mobility market. Now, Fazul, when we talk about this electric mobility market, worldwide the penetration so far seems quite low, only a few percentages. But if you take some of the other aspects like batteries and all, the market is growing at like 26% or more. And even the electric mobility market worldwide, it is growing at a decent pace. In your perspective, what potential does the electric mobility market provide for the travelers? I'm not only talking about Sri Lanka, I'm talking worldwide. What potential does electric mobility provide, number one? And it can be cycling, it can be electric vehicles, etc. But how is it also responding to the current challenges of batteries? Because we all know it is becoming one of the limiting factors. You're the veteran, you're the expert on this area. Tell us that.
Electric mobility is the future. That is the fundamental thing. Why?
And you're going to put the full stop there, underline it, bold
absolutely. No, there is no doubt there, right? Because electric mobility connects perfectly with software. Anything that we own right now is software and hardware merged together.
Correct.
I'm an engineer who's a mechatronics engineer. Again, mechanical and electronics joined together. This is where the future is heading. With electric mobility, with motors and batteries, software can be perfectly integrated. And we are moving to a software complete nation, a world basically controlled by codes, right? Ones and zeros. So that it's inevitable that the electric mobility is going to take over every aspect. Even traditional cars are now moving slowly towards hybrid, and slowly they are removing certain mechanical parts, and now they are going towards electric.
And we see some of the developed countries, for example, the UK, they've already said by 2030 that they're not going to have any fossil fuel driven vehicles. They have to go all electric. So as you said, the potential is definitely there.
And most of these nations are talking through mostly towards like a sustainable angle, right? But the technology is also moving that way, right? Where when machine learning and AI is all going to come up, and everything is now, we have machine learning and AI in every single thing, right? Even cars right now have, but when our cars...
90% of a car is today code.
Exactly. And then, so then there's a little bit more, and then all of a sudden the entire drivetrain is basically electric systems. Now, so that is inevitable, and by bicycles, cars, scooters, and all that stuff. And this market is growing amazingly. I had a discussion with Dr. Beshan from Vega. he was saying there's close to 700 startups that is basically focused on electric mobility. And not everybody is basically talking about products. They are talking about every aspects of an electric mobility industry, right? From software, from dashboards to like phones to chips, everything, right? They are basically investing, everybody is investing towards this, and this is where we are. This is what we are heading. Now, what you said about batteries, yes, I completely agree. A lithium ion battery, fundamentally there is a flaw. And the simple flaw is this. There's a lot of science behind it, but simply to put, every time you plug in your battery, the battery is degrading. Every time you plug in your battery. Now, this is the lithium ion technology that is currently prevalent in every single car that you see in the road, right? Electric car. Correct. From Tesla to now, the solution, now that's the issue, right? And we know that we know that lithium ion is basically, battery technology is still in its infancy. Correct. I come from a solar industry. I saw 2000 when solar was like very expensive, to when in 2019 solar was amazingly great, and it was peaking. With lithium ion, we are still in that growth phase. We are still not there. The technology is still not matured enough. But to solve this, and every day when I open when I go through research Science Direct, or when I open any research paper, there's always breakthroughs in battery technology in different forms of battery. And today
we talk about hydrogen cells. That's the future.
Hydrogen cells, but not that far. That hydrogen future is for like large vehicles, better for large vehicles. But you're looking at, there is Slimtech working on. I know they are working on graphene-based something, right? A battery technology that's going to change the world, right? That's going to basically add to the existing technology that is there, the lithium-ion technology that is there, to make it long-lasting, the battery long-lasting. But the fundamental thing is, if anyone is in electric mobility, if the battery is changeable, swappable, right, then we won't have a problem. Look at Nissan Leaf owners. Whoever bought cars the Leaf owners, right? We can't hide from the fact that it's a very popular electric car in Sri Lanka. I know everyone swapped their batteries, right, easily, because they are able to change it and upgrade with newer batteries with longer range, right? And so that is exactly going to happen, right? The chassis is going to remain, but these batteries are going to change. Correct. But there is also a bad side to it. Bad side of how the direction of the technology going, because we've seen some Tesla, right? They are integrating the battery within the chassis itself. Now, that way you can't change the battery. That's going to be a problem, right?
Then you have to change the car.
Then you have to change the car. That is going to be a problem. But other technologies, even including Rodha, swappable battery, remove, switch it. 2 years, you don't like the battery, you put a new technology battery. So that is where
it's like for a mobile phone. Yes. If the battery deteriorates, you put another battery.
And then finally, we're talking about what is going to happen to these discarded batteries. I know for a fact there's a Sri Lankan researcher in the UK, in a UK university, who's basically breakthrough in recycling batteries, so much so that the recycled lithium from these batteries are as good as new, right? And it's a Sri Lankan lady, right?
But because this is a problem, isn't it? Because everyone is talking hybrid, but what happens to the hybrid after the first 5 years? Because if it's brought down by, let's say, an authorized agent, there's always a plan. They'll get the battery and they'll pack it back to whatever the country that it was brought down from. But with so many different car sales bringing down hybrid cars before the lockdowns, there is no plan on how they are going to get rid of these batteries, and these batteries are harmful to the environment. Am I right, Eyaz?
Absolutely. These batteries are harmful to the environment, and there are multiple tech firms, startups, that are basically working on resolving these issues, recycling these batteries. And the research is there. It can be done. It can be done to a level that is commercialization, to be able to commercialize. But it's going to take some time. Like I said, infancy. We are in the infancy. 2007, our smartphone was just a brick, right? Almost a brick with a fancy-looking brick. Now look at the
snake game.
With the snake game. Now look at the smartphone. It's another level. And that was at what, 13 years?
Yeah.
Same like that. You're going to see this. We are still in the infancy when it comes to lithium and battery. There's way more to go.
Your area of expertise, electric cycling, or as you said, assisted cycling. Now, are you optimistic about the future of that, and why?
If I wasn't optimistic, I wouldn't start a startup, Machan. Because I have to basically be optimistic and believe what I'm doing to be able to start a startup, per se. Startup in this climate with import restrictions and lockdowns and COVID and whatnot. This is a huge hill, right? And I have to be optimistic. And I'm not optimistic for that sake. I'm truly optimistic.
And something tells me that your optimism is also partly based on passion and partly based on research and business facts.
Absolutely. My expertise is basically fundamentally to make movement easy. It's not about a bicycle. It's about making from point A to point B simple and inclusive. Simple, anyone can do it. Inclusive, it should not restrict a certain class of people or certain type of people. That is basically what I believe in, right? And I believe that this is where we are headed. So I have to be optimistic. I have to be passionate about this because, like I said, it's not easy doing a startup, and you have to keep growing. You have to keep doing. And if I was able to make that small, like my vision is to basically my aim in life is basically to be able to make the sustainable living at least a little bit more of a reality. That's it. That's my expertise.
And where do you see the potential for this in Sri Lanka, for assisted cycling or electric bicycles?
The whole country. I believe that the whole country can move around because we in Sri Lanka are a small country in the sense that our towns are very small. 100 kilometer, 10 kilometer radius, 15 kilometer radius is the entire city, right? And people are moving within this area. Our Rodha can do 60 kilometers in one full charge, right? That solves the problem. If everyone ditches their cars, if Kandy becomes completely electric cycling, Anuradhapura completely electric cycling, Ratnapura completely electric cycling, you don't need traffic anymore. There is no more traffic. Ratnapura, they made so many different road adjustments to make one way and whatnot. But if they completely get rid of cars and put all the bicycles in, that's it. And we are not there. See, I don't believe we are the only ones going to be a big player in this market.
Room for so many players.
There is room for so many. 300,000 motorcycles are registered every year in Sri Lanka, right? I don't think we can make 300,000 in the first 2 years, right? We will also going to take time. Just like that, there is so much space. Everyone says Sri Lanka is a small market. Not for this industry. Everyone can do it. And I welcome everybody to come because more competition means we are pushed to do the best version.
Yes. Let's talk about government policy here. Do you think that we have a proper government policy to encourage electric mobility in Sri Lanka? Because we see some governments reducing taxes on electric cars, then again increasing the taxes, etc. So is there a proper government policy to encourage electric mobility, number one? And if not, what should be done?
I don't believe government policy is the way to come out of this problem, right? Like I was talking about Netherlands, it's the demand. The people need to decide. People need to switch. They have to set the trend. When people decide, the people will push the government, right? If there is people who want to do this, then there's going to be demand. There's going to be supply. Then the government will realize, wow, okay, there is something. Our government has one of the biggest bills, government bills in Sri Lanka. We have free healthcare, free education. We have one of the biggest payrolls in the South Asian region. So all this add up, we're going to invest. We can't expect them to invest in something that people are not even interested about, right? People need to show interest, and as people shift towards this one, more policy will come. Cycling lanes, right? For the cycling lanes and electric charging stations and cheaper electricity. We already have cheaper electricity, and charging stations, but we can even do better, right? That's where from a policy perspective we can come to that point. But there are policies currently right now set up. Minister of Industry, right? Vimal Veeravansa. He basically has a thing called Made in Sri Lanka. This has been supporting us, for example, to be able to build in Sri Lanka and make it easier for imports with duty levies, because they had recently introduced this no duties for people who are manufacturing in Sri Lanka. So those are the kind of policies that we need, because that would encourage the supply, right? But first, it has to come from demand. More people need to demand for this, everything else will come through. Right? Just like the Netherlands, just like France, just like this one, it's not government policy first. It's people policy first. People set the trend, everybody else follows.
Any global countries you are seeing as an example or a case study on where electric cycling has taken up and boomed?
Germany, right? I've seen Germany become from a cycling, like Germany copied Netherlands to become a cycling nation. And then slowly they started putting up motors, right? That is a newer country, but we easily tend to forget China. more than 15 years in the electric vehicle market. They are veterans. No one is close to even China. If you go to China right now, towns like Shenzhen, Beijing, everyone is electric. All the scooters are electric, all the bicycles are electric. Only the cars are mostly gasoline, but even now there are cars that are coming out that are incredibly cheap, like $4,000, $5,000, $4,000 cars that are electric, like beautiful compact electric cars. So they're beast of their own. We can't copy them because that's a different level. Their policy, their government, everything is built in a different way. But if you want to look at a democratic society, it's Germany, right? But we don't have to be Germany. We can be Sri Lanka. We can start here. More people get into this, right? And then everything will set through.
Interesting. Stay tuned. We will be back after this short break. This is Bisnomics. Welcome back to Bisnomics, your weekend's most profitable 60 minutes. I'm Tarandu Amrasekara. We are in conversation with Eyaz Fazul regarding the potential of electric mobility. Yes, we spoke about electric mobility, but I'm also very keen to hear your story because inspiring young entrepreneurs is something we believe in through Bisnomics. So what's your story? Now, you have been studying this field for some time, you've been involved in a particular field of study, but it takes some inspiration to always come out and start a brand, start your own venture. And what was that inspiration for you and what challenges did you face down this road?
Oh, it's simple. Just going in the bus every day for 4 hours. 3 buses to go to school, to go to university, to go to work. I had to take buses. I had to travel from Vattala to Malabe, Vattala to Kolpiti, going in the 154. I think the biggest motivation for me is going in the 154 and dreading every single minute. This was the motivation because every single minute I spent in that time, that excruciating second, I hated it and I realized that there is a better way. I knew that there is a better way, right? And me, I'm a mechatronics engineer, like I said. I basically merge mechanical and electronics. That's where I son. But I also have a skill with regards to seeing the business opportunity when it comes to and where technology and bring the business opportunity to it. So that is where I use it. And then I realized like my first vehicle was a motorcycle, not a normal motorcycle, but an old school cafe racer motorcycle. And I realized how that two-wheeler changed my mobility challenges, right? It changed my lifestyle, right? I wanted to be like, there was a time I wanted to be a MMA fighter, but I couldn't be a MMA fighter because I didn't want to take another bus to go to Rajagiri to the MMA club, right? So these are the things that motivated me to be like, you know what, there needs to be a solution. In 2017, so then I started as a design engineer. Finished my degree, started as a design engineer for a couple of years, and then got into solar because I wanted to, like I said, sustainability was my angle that I wanted to push in. Stayed in solar for a while, and then I had traveled on a business trip to Singapore. When I was in Singapore, on the main boardwalk, there was these 2 guys with their scooters, these stand-up scooters, but not the scooters that you see nowadays. This was in 2017. These were like rigs. They look like handmade scooters, right? And I went one close to them and with LED lights, and they look like bad. I went to them and I told them, what is this? How much can it go? This is a stand-up, and they were like, this is a stand-up scooter that can go 150 kilometers in one full charge. In that moment, I realized, wait, 150 in one full charge, that means you can go entirely of Singapore, right? That means you can go entirely of Colombo, you can go entirely of Kandy, of Jaffna, and then I was like, you know what, we need to do something for this. We need to do here. I know this is the solution here. But when I came back, I was like, you know what, no one is going to stand and go and commute. No one is going to stand and commute in Sri Lanka. We are a people who wants cars, right? You can't say, I expect them to stand and go to commute. So we were like, what's the most closest relatable thing that they can do? Let's bring in the childhood memories. Let's bring in the bicycle. Let's bring back the bicycle, but this time more bolder, more filled with more pride, more
elegance.
Elegance, right? We're talking about elegance, but then also we add the bad boy attitude or the bad girl attitude, and then also the elegant attitude. You mix it up and then you design something.
So when we were kids, we were proud to ride our bike.
We loved our bicycle.
Even with supporting wheels, but still.
Absolutely. Everybody loves their bicycles, right? So that's what we brought. We wanted to invigorate that. So I was like, I was thinking about all this, and then in 2018, I partnered up with my old boss to design a bicycle. I was like, you know what, we need to design an electric bicycle. Let's do this. Lee Bazaljet, a UK national, basically was based in Sri Lanka cycling. He had a design for me, and we were like, well, we'll design something together. And then it was being prototyped. It was designed for a long time. It was in design stage.
How many years are we looking at?
From 2018, so from 2017 onwards, I was working on the design alone, and then 2018 he joined, and then from 2018 to 2020 May, right? This was just after I had moved down south. I had quit my job and I moved down south to basically have a change of lifestyle, and then the COVID hit, and when I came back, I was like, you know what, down south needs Rodha too, right? And then when I came back, I came with all the passion to be like, you know what, we need to make this out. We need to put this no longer design. It's going to get into start manufacturing. In May 2020, I started work in the garage, in my house. In my garage,
you
there's
did
a table.
All the cutting,
everything, the cutting, the welding, this one, every single thing I did it at home, right? 3 times environmental police came and visited us because I was making so much noise, right? They were like, you can't do after 10 because at 1 o'clock I'm cutting with a grinder. I was single-minded. We need to put this out as soon as possible. And then by June 2020, we finished the prototype, right? And I finished the prototype. I was like, I'm going to start riding. And I rode it for about 3 months, about 1,000 kilometers. I had no problems. Then in September 2020, I was like, and September is my birthday. It's like September 2020, let's announce it to Sri Lanka that we have an electric bicycle. We started taking pre-orders. We started taking interest. We had to see how many people are interested in this. We reached the 6 months target for pre-orders in 48 hours.
Wow.
People loved it, right? So, and then ever since then, so last week we started taking orders from customers, right? And again, it's been wonderful, right? We are growing. So Rodha is now a team, right? It's no longer just me. It's a team of people. I ride around everywhere in my Rodha, right? Because I love my Rodha, and I love the way people look at when I'm riding my Rodha.
Nice.
And I love the way I feel also, right?
Nothing like a dream coming true, isn't
Nothing
it?
like a dream coming true.
Yes, I do have a question for you here. Now, Sri Lanka still doesn't have proper cycling lanes. Do you see this as a problem?
This is only going to change if more people are going to ride. But I disagree with that point. Piliyandala to Katubedda, there is a cycling lane. What's that called? That road, Nugegoda Road, high level road.
Yeah.
The high level road from Borlasgama, Maharagama, Piliyandala all has cycle lanes, right? It's just more people have to use it. As more people use it, then the government will start to say, okay, there's more people using it. Now let's let the police to come and stop there, right? So this is all going to change slowly. I am 30 years old. I'm very proud to have a flat stomach, not because of a gym, because of Rodha, right? I am very, very happy about that. So these are the things.
And
motivation.
when you say assisted cycling, what does it mean? Like you cycle a bit?
When you pedal, there is a sensor that senses how much you're pedaling, right? If your pedaling, if your pedal speed is enough for basically how you want to go forward, then it leaves it be. But if not, it will give from the motor. So it feels like it feels like that, like you get a push from behind.
I like the example.
Right, that's exactly it. It's a very weird feeling. It's different, right? And then you also have like an accelerator. When you are stop and go traffic and you want to get that initial momentum, you use the throttle and go, right? So it's very hard to explain. It's an experiential product. You should definitely ride it. It's out there. After this, we'll do it. So that is what basically Rodha is about, right? And so I'm very passionate about it because I believe that this can solve the mobility. This is the silver bullet. I truly believe that.
And let's talk about manufacturing. Now, Sri Lanka is not always seen as a manufacturing hub. In fact, people say that manufacturing in Sri Lanka is almost impossible, and you disagree. I
absolutely disagree. Rodha is designed and manufactured in Sri Lanka. Here's the thing. Yes, I don't disagree that it's hard, right? But nothing is impossible.
It's very hard when the environment police is visiting you and asking you.
No, but that is because I was working overtime, right? At 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm grinding. But the thing is, it's not impossible. Nothing is impossible if you put your minds to it. See, but what we don't like most of startups don't understand is when you are from prototype stage to manufacturing stage is two different ball games, right? Your prototype stage you can make it in your garage, is not an issue, but when you're manufacturing
In a commercial scale.
in a commercial scale, it's a whole different ball game. So it's hard, but it is possible because there are like things like Made in Sri Lanka initiatives and schemes and whatnot is making things to bring things down to people also like now the job market is also opening up. There is skilled labor that are transitioning. I recently heard that bus drivers are now leaving bus driving jobs and like getting other jobs. So there are people like this who are eager to like do something else.
Learn
right?
a new skill.
Learn a new skill, right? So we believe labor shortage is it is real. I know that. But I also know that if we have a product, if we are manufacturing something that people are proud of, there's always going to be people there to have.
On a final note, yes, your advice to young entrepreneurs and innovators, because there's a lot of young people with lots of ideas, but they sometimes, when they don't get enough financial support from investors or due to social pressure, etc., they just give it up. And we see this happening a lot. You're someone who avoided that death valley, and you have now launched a successful product, and I think we as a country should be proud of these innovations.
Thank you very much.
Your advice to young entrepreneurs, any young student, any young innovator who is watching this show, who is going through the struggle, your advice, especially how do you convince investors that this is a product that they should believe in?
For young entrepreneurs, I have only one thing to do, one thing to say. You have to know why you are getting into entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is not easy. You want to make money, you work for a big company, or you go like watch, there's so many TikTok videos talking about how you can make money from the phone and a tab. And it's real. Drop shipping, trading, mining, there's so many ways to make money in the 21st century. We are no longer a disconnected world, we are a connected world. Money is not, if you want to make money, entrepreneurship is not the way to go. If you're getting into entrepreneurship, you have to believe in solving a fundamental problem. That's it. Fundamental problem. If you believe that you have a solution for that problem, you have to get into it. Now, this problem doesn't have to be like a product-based solution, right? You don't have to innovate the first Sri Lanka's first. It doesn't have to be. It can be additional small steps, right? Small steps that make a product great, right? Rodha is not innovating. We didn't innovate the electric bicycle.
You didn't reinvent the wheel.
I didn't reinvent the wheel. I am standing on the shoulders of work that everybody else did, packaged it into a nice solution and giving it to this one. So just like that, if you want to do and basically saw a target market and then tapped it. When it comes to investors, Sri Lankan investors, I believe I've gone through this firsthand. Sri Lankan investors are not going to invest in companies that doesn't make money, that doesn't have customers, paying customers. You need to have paying customers for Sri Lankan investors to believe in you. That is the fact, and that is rightfully so, because it's hard. They are hard-earned money that they are making in these economies, right? And they don't want to put in some risky bet.
Because there's some fancy idea.
Just because someone can sell well, it doesn't mean they have to invest, right? No, they will see if there's customers, they will invest immediately. So we are not an angel investment country, meaning we're not a country that basically invests in ideas. You want to make your idea reality, put all pieces together, like how I did it, like how Apple did it, in the garage. Start in the garage. And it doesn't have to be all product based, right? A simple example for entrepreneurship, you want to solve a problem. My thing is, if you talk about, like, say, for example, if it's a toddler, nowadays they watch Shark Thing, the Shark Thing or the Alpha Blocks or all those things. If you basically, why aren't there Sri Lankan ones? Why can't an entrepreneur, education-based entrepreneur, start a Sri Lankan toddler video channel, YouTube channel? It's just a matter of making it and uploading it. So only you need a computer and internet connection. That's it. So that is what entrepreneurship, and you're going to solve a problem that is going to basically, instead of corrupting the minds with other external things, we are basically teaching them real values. So just like that, there is so many. You throw me any idea, I will tell you a solution, right? So this is basically, there is so many things that we can solve, right? Incremental changes. Be that incremental change or be the leapfrog change, whatever it is, but you have to solve a problem. Don't create a problem to solve it. Solve a problem that's already there. That's it.
Eyaz Fazul, you are definitely what I think I could call as a presenter or interviewer's dream candidate. Passionate, insightful, and most importantly, motivated. Wishing you good luck, and we hope to see this brand you've built the Sri Lankan brand you have built, has built a Sri Lankan brand. We hope that it will flourish and be a world-class brand in the near future. Good luck and all the best.
I want to say this before we end. Thank you very much. It's basically, it's very hard a startup, but like you all reaching out and basically promoting a startup in Sri Lanka like this on national TV. This is basically what we work for, and this is what we are passionate for, and this is what drives us forward, even amongst Corona and import restrictions and all the barriers that comes when you start a company. People like you all make us keep going forward.
The credit goes to
Thank
Team
you very
Bisnomics, and indeed we are happy to support Sri Lankan entrepreneurs.
Thank you.
All the best, Eyaz.
Thank you very much.
So if you are a young entrepreneur, you know the secret of success. Be persistent, be passionate, and be informed. And we only hope that all these brands, the Sri Lankan entrepreneurial brands that are coming up, the startup brands, will one day be world-class. I'm Tharandu Amarasekara, and I will see you with the next episode. No matter what business you may be in, have a profitable week ahead.